And speaking of love and the world of romance, it is very tough in this environment where we're all sheltering in place, staying at home, whatever you want to call it, to date except in the virtual way. And if there's time, I'll tell you, I was part of a double date. Courtney and myself were part of a virtual date when somebody in California and somebody in New York had met online, and we joined them because they asked us to in this double date. But right now, Lisa Sisemore from It's Just Lunch joins us to explain how people are connecting in this time when you wouldn't think you could make many connections. Hi, Lisa.
Hi there, Mark. Thank you for having me.
No, this is really cool. You are a matchmaker, and I could talk to you, about just that for a while, but how do you put people together given the restrictions on our movement?
Well, the great thing is that at It's Just Lunch, we usually match people and people meet face to face. But since there is a shelter in place and people are quarantining themselves, what we're doing is we're getting people out on virtual dates, and it's really working very well, and people are having a lot of fun, and they're able to connect now in the virtual world with video chatting.
So can I ask just a question that, like, when you're dating somebody, maybe you go, you've never met them. You meet them for coffee or you meet them for lunch, something kind of casual. Then you may go to do something else, a little more substantial. It might be dinner and then a movie or, something like that. Or you might go to a concert. In other words, slowly you ramp up the kind of relationship you're having until finally, if you guys are still into each other, you can really kind of get serious. How does that happen in the virtual environment?
So virtually, I think people are finding that they're able to connect really well because I think during this time, we're setting up our space as well. We're getting very comfortable being in front of the camera, and I think now more than ever, people are connecting with loved ones, and people of all ages are popping in front of their phone. They're video chatting. They're able to set up a dating space within their home now by just getting some great lighting, maybe being in front of a space where there's a great backdrop and they can enjoy a happy hour.
So at Just Lunch, would you say to me, just on the backdrop, Lisa, would you say, hey, I should put my Golden Mike Awards, my Emmy Awards, maybe should I tack some $100 bills to the corkboard behind me? Exactly. What kind of background should I have?
100%. Definitely have something that people can connect with you about and ask a fun or silly question. So it is the time that you can actually show those awards. And I had a client the other day, and he actually had just set up a home gym, and he went on one of my virtual dates, and he ended up going from his living room down into the garage to show this person this amazing virtual space now that he has, this new gym that he has set up. And they were cracking up because then she took him to where she had a basket and had like a jump rope, a shake a weight, and, nothing in it. She's like, this is my home gym. So they were really able to connect on a really fun, playful level.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I would think. Plus, the other thing about the virtual meet is you can kind of set up your own background. So I could get a picture of that guy's gym. I could put it in, superimpose it behind me, and pretend it was my gym. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. I think what's really important is just find a spot. What I'm telling my clients is thinking about, like, if you're hosting a dinner party, you definitely would have the ambiance set up right. You would have perhaps, your favorite throw on the sofa or some bright, a pop of color, maybe some pillows. Make sure that the lighting is great. Definitely you want to be in a place where you have a flattering angle. And I know at It's Just Lunch, we're busy certifying our clients, and we're putting them through some coaching so that they really can feel their best and feel ready for this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that someone like you is really important. I mean, you want to say, hey, it was almost like the kind of thing that you would say if hey, you're going to meet a girl like that, don't wear that shirt. You know what I mean? Or whatever you would tell somebody who might be a friend of yours. And similarly, you would say, hey, don't use that camera angle. And it's cool. I would think to have somebody like yourself there at Just Lunch in this case, to kind of walk you through maybe how to present your best self in those moments when you're meeting virtually. It might be important. How long do people at their first meeting, how long do people stay on the virtual connect?
Typically on that first connection, it's about 30 minutes as a rule of thumb. We definitely want people to have fun. We don't want them to treat it like it's a job interview. We want it to be fun and light. And also we want them to leave enough available, some questions that they could ask for a second date. So we definitely want them to connect for about 30 minutes is probably appropriate.
Okay, and then just to my question in our last few seconds, so then the next meeting would be maybe a longer meeting? Is that what happens? Or it becomes, in other words, how do you step up if I'm going to use the word intimacy, but you know what I mean, the momentum, if you will, of the romance?
Well, what my clients are doing usually for the second date is they're getting a lot more creative. So I had actually a client on the second date that prepared a meal, and she was a gourmet chef. So she was in her kitchen and, then making it more personable by sharing that meal, and also the experience. He was pouring wine, and he was like a wine connoisseur, so they were able to kind of connect on those commonalities. Others are going on virtual walks and talks, and just really acting as if they're getting creative, and they're talking about things that they could do perhaps on a third date when they're actually able to meet in person.
That's a really cool thing. I have to say that in a weird way, it could be a more intimate way to ultimately pursue the relationship. In other words, you get to know each other virtually first, and then you ultimately, when you meet, perhaps are picking things up at a different stage in the relationship than you might if you just met right off the hop. I could talk to you again for longer, and I hope we will. Lisa, thank you so much. And again, it is Just Lunch is the name of the website, and that's a great place to start, I guess. And Lisa Sisemore, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.